It's going to be similar. Similar bans, actually, across the board, except this time, instead of a Bruno ban, it's a Baksha ban here by GEEK Fam. So just a small adjustment. Valentina, first pick, Yue will get one of the signature pickups.
What makes that Baksha ban so interesting is it comes from GEEK Fam, so it immediately shows we're not going to run the same thing as last time. We're going to switch it up a little bit because we know Blacklist is going to switch it up most likely. So we want to keep them on their toes, and I think it's a great play. Even just starting in the banning phase, they're kind of getting in Blacklist's head a little bit.
It's funny with this too because, you know, we were talking about Renegade specifically, but this also allows Blacklist International to be a little more decisive, right? You pick up the Valentina, goes in the hands of Yue, and then you take an Akai, you still play the utility game against the Fredrin. And then the next pick, the Matilda.
There we go. Now we're getting the faster Blacklist. It's Healman with a little mix of Hitman. We know how the Matilda likes to play.
Yeah.
And then paired up with Sensui's Akai, you have Valentina in the mid. These are great first 3 picks by Blacklist. It's very similar to a style that they're known for. So they're going into this also with that little asterisk of, guys, GEEK Fam know we draft like this.
Yep.
We have to watch out for counter pickups. So now GEEK Fam, they want to amp up that early game aggression. Again, they're still going to be going for fast scale and quick dominate. Faramis, Fredrin, Bruno are 3 picks that do that very well.
I like the Faramis pick. It gives them, you know, it gives Marky a little bit of a safer, he's able to kind of huddle down into the group a little bit, and when you have something like Renegade, the Hitman, on this Matilda, someone that's going to be looking for Marky nonstop, it gives you a little bit of an answer there.
That's a classic matchup, right? Valentina, Faramis. It's going to be NetherRealm versus NetherRealm for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And especially around these later objectives. But this is already a great start because even just rotation-wise, Blacklist International has to get going, and this is the best way to do it. You have a Matilda, you have a Valentina able to help extend those fights. Now, my big question, once again, is what do you put up against the Bruno, right? Statistically, throughout M5, we've seen the Brody versus Bruno matchup. Well, we know where that falls statistically, right? It's still favored in Bruno, but again, we also see a lot of Claude popped up who, you know, right now is not banned out either.
I think something great here for the side of GEEK, pick up something like the Tigreal, pick up something like the Minotaur. So if Matilda tries to come in, you have an immediate answer to that. Because the thing is Blacklist wants to get into the midst of them all and just cause mayhem. So GEEK Fam, I think, need a strong answer for that.
Yeah, and now it's interesting that the GEEK Fam are still respecting the 1-1, and there, the Minotaur actually here was taken out by Blacklist International. You still have very strong EXP laners in Paquito, Khalid, and Lapu Lapu open. All of those, honestly, can slot in very well for Blacklist International, but then at the same time for GEEK Fam, it's they can also just choose between those. If I'm GEEK Fam here, just continue that. You want to get someone who can fast clear, like this, exactly, just like earlier. Fast clear, rotate, go for it. Blacklist might play the same way. Paquito Khalid is available, but if they want to keep things super interesting, maybe play a little bit more macro, you might see Agent Zero's Benedetta.
Ooh, he goes to Benedetta.
Yeah, and then maybe Claude here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are both good picks, but still, even with the fact that Khalid is open, we saw how that plays a part, but always you have to consider the fact, too, you got to work with the heavy spin, right? You don't want to end up pushing things out. That's the Charizla. There's the Riz. He comes through. This is a constant pickup. You can see the win rates here. It is 51%, but he's almost in all these series so far through the course of M5.
Yep.
Now, once again, this allows you to kind of set things up really well. What do they throw in the gold lane here? It's going to be Iksha.
Oh, interesting. All right, so GEEK Fam. Oh, and instantly a Grok.
Oh.
It really looked like GEEK Fam read into that so quickly, because the moment that Iksha popped up, quick pick,
boom, wild charge.
Yes, it seems like they were so ready for it, because right now, that Grok pickup was so good because, yes, you have the Lapu Lapu, but you need more help to dive the back line.
Yep.
And the Grok was just a perfect pickup there. So now, Blacklist are going to need to be super systematic about this. They need to peel for the Iksha really well in those team fights. But then now at the same time, GEEK Fam have a lineup where they can continue their same strategy and playstyle from game number 1, where it's just go into the jungle, fast clear, steal, contest, and then rinse and repeat until you're dominating the game.
Well, once again, both lineups locked in here. Agents, you gotta cheer for a Blacklist International if you want them to get the one. even it out 1-1 here against Geek Fam after what we saw from the previous game as we go into the land of Dawn in game number 2.
All right, starting this off 0-1. Geek Fam in the lead. Can they do it again, Renmar?
Well, they have the lineup for it, but this time it's not going to be as one-sided in the early game as we saw from game number 1. Blacklist International have the right tools to sort of mitigate or minimize the damage that a snowballing Geek Fam can potentially dish out. But as we were talking about earlier here, you're already seeing aggression from the two roamers. Now Renegade feels a little bit more comfortable going a little bit deeper behind enemy lines, and Beloyski's just continuing what he did from game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do this on an Angela, right? So,
yeah.
In a way, like you said, he's going to be half heal man, half hit man, and that's what he's doing on this Matilda. Putting the pressure there on Niall, but real quick, too, as nothing's happening too much, emblem-wise, Renmar, take us through it.
All right, doesn't feel like there's anything to do. Oh, there we go, there we go. There's the TP party we're looking for. Niall still will get his purple buff.
Uh-oh.
But hey,
boy, in a little bit of trouble. Renegade not going to commit to try to get those hits. Probably wouldn't have been able to do enough damage, but Blacklist already so aggressive compared to last game, and this is what we wanted to see from him.
Yep. And you hear the agents. It's thunderous right now. Beloyski will not be able to take the buff away. Niall still pressured.
Marky too.
Marky pressured. Oh, here we go.
Every lane right now. Geek Fam's feeling the pressure this time around.
Blacklist all. Oh, Beloyski.
Oh.
Very low. Should go down here. Brings out the wall. No. Edward finds the kill. A nice play. Geek Fam now trying to recover here.
Yeah.
Okay, first blood drawn here by Blacklist.
Yeah, going back to the emblem real quick, actually we saw the double movement speed, feet, emblems. Yes, that's the way to say it now. This is how the kids say it. Beloyski on Beloyski's Grok. So really he wants to apply the pressure, move fast. We don't see that as often now, but with that Grok and how you want to play, that's the right call.
Ooh, you takes a wild charge. Beloyski able to take the turtle. They're going to back off. That's going to recover a little bit after that first blood for the side of Blacklist, but the fight still goes. Edward in a little bit of trouble. Gonna get taken out. Luke picks up the kill. Geek Fam responding back.
Yeah, looked like a little bit of a miscalculation there by Blacklist International. Now here comes the pressure by Geek Fam. Gets Sensui defend his purple buff.
Now they're gonna try to go for this. Niall is able to take it. They get the stun on to Sensui, and Niall walks away scot-free.
Once again, you know, Geek Fam biting back here, given the whole situation. So they find a way to even garner themselves a small lead here.
Yeah, wild charge there right on time. And it looked like in that last one after that first turtle, it looked like Blacklist, or at least Edward wanted to commit, but Blacklist looked like they didn't want a full commit, so he goes down. They lose that control around the center of the map with a key figure going down, and then that means Sensui was open for the invade. So again, Geek Fam is just continuing their playstyle and trend from game number 1. Blacklist International are matching it, but now we're seeing one of the strengths of Geek Fam. They're so good at those post-engagement team fight, the counter go as we call it. Just when you think that teams, hey, they won't counter go in this scenario, Geek Fam will say, hey, we do, and we'll make it work.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Oh, bottom side, Edward.
A little bit of damage on Edward, gonna get stunned up. The appraisal's wrath, and Edward is smashed down. Luke picks up the kill. Beloyski now in a little bit of trouble. Renegade, the hitman, trying to take him out. Undercover in the enemy jungle. Can he get the final hit? No, Renegade decides to back out. Gonna get pulled back in, a boy. And a little bit of chip damage, but both teams disengage.
So now we're seeing here Geek Fam's adjustment. Luke is playing out of his mind here, folks. He is taking it to Edward, and at the same time, Geek Fam are committing rotations into the XP lane because they know that when you're up against Blacklist International, one of the things you do is not just in the draft, but in-game, make sure that Agent Zero has a difficult time, because then that means the rest of Blacklist International will also struggle.
Yeah, still, Turtle going to be up here. Beloyski.
Beloyski maybe in a little bit of trouble, does not have the wild charge. The full barrage comes out. Oheb forces a flicker back though. Luke with the bravest fighter. Locks on, onto you, gonna keep him at bay. Sensui wants to look for a way in. Trying to find an angle. Edward with the penalty zone on top of Luke. Luke gets the stun. Looking for Yue. Can he flicker out Niall? Able to still secure it, and Luke gets away safely. Geek Fam playing out of their minds right now.
Woo! Stone cold. It's Luke. Man, we talked about his pickups. What hero you would give him? 2 games in a row on this Labu, and he's playing so well. He's still going. What?
In a bad spot. Is this dangerous? He goes down. Renegade, the hitman, finds the kill. maybe got a little too confident there.
Yeah.
Thought you were going to go Stone Cold Luke Austin.
I like that. I like that. The glass-shattering performance by the EXP laner of Geek Fam.
Hey, at one point, again, oh, that's a guiding win if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Ooh, but Beloyski wants to try to catch him off. No. He's going to look for Oheb here. Gets a wild charge and down goes Oheb. Rennie J trying to run away here. Beloyski and a boy put out the wall. They're going to back off.
Okay. Now, we see here Geek Fam are actually playing in bursts, and that's what we see with how Beloyski built the emblem onto this rocket, how he's playing it. And again, here's another burst of go by Geek Fam, but Niall.
Niall a little bit of trouble. The Appraiser's Wrath comes down, but Luke once again.
Oh,
he's going to get pinned to the wall. Beloyski, though, gonna start working on the tower. Luke still zoning them away. He gets a stun on it, too. Trying to get some more damage down. Gets some shield, but he finally falls to full barrage. And he's locked on to several members. It's a lot of damage. A boy unable to get away today. 2-0. Geek Fam starts to decline.
It wasn't a full barrage, it was a guiding full barrage.
Yeah, a guiding full barrage, a flying GFB. Barrage, the GFB. That's the first time I've seen that, folks. I am speechless. That was cool.
It looks better than even the flicker, right? So,
yeah.
Hey, they made it work. Again, there's a back and forth, but still, Geek Fam leading by a little bit, 1.3K ahead. Blacklist International still 2, trying to find their first turret of the game. Once again, they don't want to be in the same situation from the previous game, right? They've got no space to work around with just yet. But it looks like they actually want to go ahead and contest this objective. Third turtle, Luke jumps in.
Luke continues to zone them away, keeping Blacklist at bay here. Niall getting free zoning onto this turtle. We'll be able to get that free, gonna put them a little bit ahead, but definitely Blacklist. We've seen them respond. We've seen their team fight potential here, but Geek Fam does not want to let their foot off the gas right now. Niall gonna try to steal this orange buff. It's a 50-50 right there. Beloyski with the wild charge, and he flickers out. Oh, wait, the penalty zone locks on. Wait, no, a boy here, ready to help him fight out. Another Cult Altar, another Netherrealm, and now Boy on the run. But here comes Niall along with Marky, getting free shots down. It's a full-on 5v5 and full barrage. The response, down goes a Boy. Beloyski forced to try to get away with a flicker of health. Sentui is there, Niall gonna try to help his teams.
They're still going.
They don't want to let him get away. Oheb there, Niall falls. Blacklist International trying to take the game back.
Folks, this is the matchup we expected. Geek Fam and Blacklist International are putting on a show. And here comes Geek Fam
still
again.
Going, stone cold as ever. Able to dance around, no! Luke finds the kill, he wants more. Edward now on the run, he's gonna get pulled back by the Shadow Stampede. You as well, Marky gets the shot. Geek Fam, the game is back and forth, but they're not gonna let this one go.
Oh, just take it in again, back and forth. The pendulum swings between these two teams. And just when Blacklist International finds a couple wins, Geek Fam bites back.
Woo. Geek Fam, how they're playing here. We've given flowers to Blacklist International. We gotta give the flowers back again to Geek Fam. Luke 3:16, I baptize you with bravest fighter, but he who is mightier than I is coming, and that is the rest of Geek Fam. Time and time again, their condition for team fighting is the bravest fighter. Those 3 hits, sending back Blacklist. Geek Fam says, it's like you can hear them shout, go, Beloyski's going, go, guys, go, just go for it.
Hey, it works. Right?
It works.
It's great, no matter, just like the great Rocky Balboa says, no matter how many times you get hit, it's all about how you keep getting back up. And Luke right now, willing to take punches to the face time and time again, but he always hits back harder. Lord now down to about 18,000. Sensui trying to keep the vision on it. Edward and Renajay showing up as well. Beloyski's in about half health. They're going to dance for this one. Watch for Marky, making his way around, and Lord will reset.
Okay, Lord gonna go ahead and reset here. Both teams getting a situation. Once again, Blacklist International. Space-wise, they don't have anything, right? They have to just play to the tune of the fact that Geek Fam owns more, basically, real estate around the map. And that's the difficult part, especially when you get to this point, right? Lord's gonna be up here. How do you find the space you want to work with? Renajay's trying to force something, but once again, Geek Fam will not fall for it. Lord now less than half health.
big knock-up on a Sensui there. A boy and the rest of the gang, the rest of the fam, playing this slowly. They got faith in Niall. They think he can get the 50-50 as long as the rest of the team is kept away. Rennie J looking for an angle, but Niall finds it. Geek fam might want to try to force the fight. I think it might be better if they just back off. Blacklist now want to go. Big penalty zone by Edward. On to 2, but Sensui gonna get the pin. Blacklist using the Nether Realm. 2 Nether Realms. The fight still continues. Geek fam out. Rennie J forced the flicker away. Geek fam now has the advantage. Luke finds Yue. Once again, he's gonna keep on going in. BLCK there as well to have his back. A nice terrifying to Niall, but Niall's gonna back up. They're just gonna take the purple buff and take what they came for.
Big brain Beloy, that wild charge. Saw Blacklist set them up for what could have been a big win for Geek fam. They weren't able to get kills, but at the end of the day, they got the Lord. A surprising call there by Geek fam, specifically Niall, to just rush it to the point where Sensui wasn't even in retribution range, and I don't think even he expected that Geek fam would rush it, take that Lord just like that, then go forward. Systematic aggression. Geek fam are just continuing that again, but now if you look at the items, up to a Malefic Roar already. Is this Bruno? 3 core items locked in, but Oheb really close. Sea Halberd, DHS, Corrosion Scythe, both marksmen still very close here. And despite it being a 5K gold lead, these 2 teams already have their conditions. 2-1 Geek fam, go for a stomping lead. Blacklist International to find a turnaround.
Once again, they'll be able to deal with this Lord quickly as they did. It was the first one of the game. They'll clear the lanes here too. But again, at this point, this kind of feels like that moment when, when you're playing games and you have your teammates yelling at you like push, push, push. Because still, no turrets down, nowhere to work with. So you're wondering, right? Blacklist International, where do we find this movement? Where do we find the space? Where do we find the space to rotate? Who is that going to be, right? Is it we wait for Oheb to be full glass cannon on this Ixia pick and work out here? Because even BLCK, look how much damage he's just tanking up.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm also looking at it as how much damage Blacklist International can deal now. Yue is up there in terms of being able to deal the damage. And that's something that the front line of Geek fam are respecting. So now we've seen BLCK and Luke be actually just constantly going to the front line, really trying to bait out things from the side of Blacklist International. But every time they do it, it seems like the more it happens, the more health we see them losing. So at some point, it might hit critical mass, and then suddenly Geek fam are just going to be surprised. It's like, wait. We've gotten the vision, we've sent them back, but now we have to go back ourselves. Oh, Blacklist International gets to find a way to turn it around. That's something they have to watch out for.
Now they're really playing around this Matilda as well, of course. But BLCK is doing work, man. He's everywhere he needs to be on this Grok.
Something else important to point out, the BLCK curse is over. He hasn't died 7 times at all in the past 2 games, and he has been moving. Even now, he knows his advantage. He knows as long as he can keep his passive proc, it's going to be so hard for Blacklist to try to catch him off guard, and he can just stay in front of their faces right now.
Slower pace now for these 2 teams as they just play for macro. Blacklist International finally breaking that turret up top. Let's see if this is going to be a full commit.
They want to go for it,
actually. Niall's alone, actually. Penalty zone with the flicker from Edward. Locks on to Niall. Niall instantly gone. Boy brings out the Nether Realm. We want to try to help his friend, but he won't be able to save the day. BLCK from the side with a wild charge. Gets a knock up onto Edward. Luke into the backside with the Brave Spider. Looking for Oheb. Gets a stun. But wait, the damage is unloaded and BLCK goes down. Luke. Now it's Luke against the world. Marky looking for some free shots. No way, Luke goes down. Slow as well. Blacklist to turn the game around and take the second Lord.
It doesn't matter if you don't have any turrets, you're down multiple thousands of gold. It only takes the 1-team fight, and Blacklist did it.
Like the Viper returning in Survivor Series from out of nowhere. Just like that, tables have been turned, and RMC are electrified yet again. And that came off of information that BLCK was in the top lane, clearing minion waves. Blacklist said, we go for this now, and we turn it around.
And what a great play at that. Niall all alone, they were able to take him off, and that was it. Luke goes for another, balls against the wall play there, but ends up getting caught off guard. Blacklist with the game back in their hands.
With that, they're going to go ahead and grab a couple more of these turrets in the tier 2. It's now Geek fam's turn to be on the defense. Backs against the wall here, but one thing's for sure. They have all the items they need to actually win this team fight as they get prepped up for the defense. But it will come down to playing around the full barrage from OHEB like we saw previously. Can they keep it together as the Lord marches in?
All right, Blacklist International. Do they play this safe or do they go for a huge play? GEEK fam definitely gonna play a safe. They just need to get the Lord out of here. They've only lost one inhibitor, but that will give Blacklist International an advantage over the map.
All right. Okay, Blacklist International can actually continue applying this pressure so they can get inhibitors, as we mentioned, get resources, start choking out.
Oh, there we go!
Penalty zone into the backside. Bloisky gonna get the wild charge on the tower, but the full barrage comes out. Luke trying to dodge it, trying to get out of range.
Wow.
GEEK fam with the Netherrealm, able to survive, but still lose one. Bloisky off the map.
That's literally covering fire. Yeah. Like that full barrage covering fire, immortality popped on Edward, and they keep GEEK fam at bay. So he stays with his life, and now the focus, this last base turret, to fully expose the base of GEEK fam. As they get ready, turret's gonna fall here, and they're happy with that.
Blacklist relentless right now. They've taken everything they can from GEEK fam. How do they respond?
As we look at the instant replay, GEEK fam now have to start dishing out more of the surprises, because now we see Blacklist International telling GEEK fam, hey, we can dish out surprises too. Surprise calls. You think we're going to be slower in terms of the macro? Hey, it looks like that you don't have your roamer in the Lord pit. We're going to go for the Lord. Hey, it looks like our XP laner can get a massive setup with a penalty zone. Hey, we're going to go for it. Look, your roamer's gone again. So now Blacklist are playing GEEK fam's game, and they're saying, we can do better as well, better than great. These two teams are putting on an absolute show, but it has gotten to the point where they have both proven one big play might be the decider.
Yeah, again, as we go ahead, get ready for this Lord take, it's going to be pulled over to Blacklist International side. GEEK fam trying to get a position, but right now, Renegade just keeping them at bay the best he can. Netherrealm being held by UA here. Could change the course of the fight. Lord's going to go ahead and reset for now. GEEK fam can still possibly steal the Lord away in this exchange against Blacklist International. They take things very slowly. Yep. Marky's positioning also going to be crucial here.
Yeah, you see the side lane minions of Blacklist International are going to get pushed out a little bit more. They have minion advantage there. In the mid lane, that's where Luke's Lapu Lapu is getting parked because he is in the best position to clear way fast, but at the same time go for a gank if Blacklist International decide to push forward. Come off from a pincer angle, 18, 16K, they're going to go for it.
Oh, Sensui is going to get knocked up there. Luke into the backside, locking on OM for the heavy spin, forces Nile away. It's a 50-50. Who's going to take it? Luke gets a three-man stun on 3 members of Bloisky. Saves the day, the big brain man. But now GEEK is on the run. Blacklist want to try to take him down. You take the Lord, but we take your lives. 2 members fall. Blacklist International. The Lord doesn't matter if we can take you all.
The Lord, but for what? One big play, but it was one big Baloy that got the Lord for GEEK fam. But Blacklist will burn this quick. They will have a 2-man advantage over GEEK fam.
Are they gonna go for this? The finish, the knock-up, the penalty zone misses, but Avoid takes a ton of damage. UA goes down, Marky trying to save the day, along with Luke. The full barrage comes out. Marky fires to the side. He's looking for more. Avoid back up. Luke there. The Shadow Stampede. Renegade looking for the knock-up. Able to lock on. Marky still there. Sensui in a little bit of trouble. They've saved the day. GEEK fam survive another wave.
What a defense from GEEK fam once again. Marky able to avoid the full barrage from OHEB, keeps them in the game as they'll know they make their way to the mid lane.
What a flicker that was from Marky.
Yeah, at the right time, Marky is deathless, the solution. They found a problem and they have the Marky to answer it. Now, Blacklist will have to defend. The back and forth, the seesaw, the drama. Is this where it ends? Or will it continue again?
GEEK fam goes in. They crack down the inhibitor and a wild charge paired up with the bravest fighter. Luke looking for the stun, but he's pinned against the wall. GEEK fam now on the run. Edward able to get the penalty zone, but out comes the Netherrealm. They're going to be able to get away from this. Luke in a little bit of trouble, able to dash back. Black there on the chase. The final barrage. Luke takes a shot to the face. Marky as well. GEEK fam in shambles. Blacklist International changing the fate of game 2. UA finds another one. Bloisky all alone. A boy back at the base, back at the crystal. Blacklist International, you mentioned the pendulum. Well, they are the swing.
It doesn't end there. It does go again. And now Blacklist have the right set unless GEEK Fam can defend once more.
All right, can GEEK Fam do this? They need a little more time. Edward able to get the penalty zone. They want to finish it. The minions locked down. The final barrage just for salt in the wound. And Blacklist International takes game number 2.
And it's 1-1, as we expected in the epic matchup between GEEK Fam and Blacklist International.
We do not get Super Bowl halftime shows in MLBB Esports, but this right here is the closest we'll get sports entertainment at its finest. 2 teams not wanting to back down. Welcome to the M5 World Championship yet again. This was one of the greatest games we've had the honor to cast.
Once again, we're gonna have this broken down further by our panelists over there on the analyst stand. Leo, Mirko, take it away.
Can you believe it? In a single game of MLBB that lasted somewhat 20 minutes, we were put on a showcase of mechanics. A lot of things happened in that game that I've never seen in my entire career.
It's crazy how we saw so much action across the board from the start all the way to the end, Leo. I mean, it has to start in the drafts, right? Because we did mention that in game number 1, it felt like they were just looking to be as creative as they can, that they actually shot overboard, right? They went a bit too creative. Master the basics. You gotta master it. He's done it, and I'm glad to see that Blacklist International just went back to their basics, man. The Akai into the Mathilda first phase to get a very strong trio mid setup going, and then picking the nail in the coffin, that Ixia.
That's right. A lot of other marksmen were actually open. You had a Brody still out there. You had the old classic Claude to answer the Faramis, the Beatrix even for the Filipino sniper. But they said, you know what? I think we need that full barrage, and indeed it came into play here in game 2, wherein there were so many false collapses, so many feigned ults, wherein you could have sworn, oh, I should have popped the full barrage 10 seconds earlier, but it was all according to plan. And again, this was made possible because of 2 very key players. I'd like to think they're very strong candidates for MVP, and I'm looking at Yue or Renegade.
Renegade is my choice personally, right? Because of the fact that he was able to screen so much of the map in the early phase to stop a lot of the ganks from happening, saving the Ixia multiple times as well. And it looks like I got it on the dot. The Hitman Renegade, the MVP for game number 2. 2-0 and 16. This is truly a visual representation of when the Hitman becomes a roamer.
It's the perfect example of why he's so good at what he does. For you to be able to protect your cores the way Renegade does, you gotta think like an assassin. You gotta think like a hitman. So he's able to cover Oheb, and of course, even you. And maybe that's why this Valentina was so good at reading bushes, checking in and keeping people where they need to be with the Terrifies. It's because Renegade knows where Luke might be hiding, where even Marky could be hiding. And yeah, Marky went deathless for a good 20 minutes, and then it was too late after the collapse. And all throughout, early, mid to late, even after those swings, even after those comebacks from GEEK Fam, Renegade was on point.
I love the stark difference here between the 2 teams where Blacklist International, once they get the lead, they build it slowly. It's like an investment, right? Meanwhile, for GEEK Fam, you could see they were explosive from the get-go. They were able to get an explosive lead in the early game, but then they kept on gambling with that lead, right? Obviously, when you make these crazy plays, 2 things can happen. You can give the lead over to the enemy team, or you can multiply your lead by a lot. And for the most part in this game, in the early stages, that's what it looked like. GEEK Fam were able to snowball, 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 but Blacklist, with the help of Renegade, every single time. Even here, Oheb did die in the end, but Renegade bought so much time just by knocking them up that it actually granted Yue a lot of space, and then they had to burn more of those emblems, more of those spells from the side of GEEK.
Yep, and again, the wisps that he uses to check bushes and to help reposition with the guiding winds. Again, you could have sworn that Renegade's Matilda had like 6 skills with the way that he was transporting, covering, couriering his cores to where they needed to be. And even here, towards that last clapback, right? Renegade was even making the shots. It's like, all right, I'm going to take some hits from Marky. He was peeling here. And then, okay, let's try to save what's left. Oheb back out. There was a ball that was chasing the young prince. And then from there, Renegade just stayed on top of it. That's something I think the Hitman has in spades that he inputs into the Blacklist international mentality, is the fact that no matter how dire straights look, how desperate things are, he's always just ready to catch you, ready to say, you know what, everything's going to be fine.
We heard about the championship mentality earlier, literally in game number 1, between game 1 and game 2, and we got to see it straight from Renegade himself, the Hitman picking up an MVP and a deathless performance in a chaotic game. I mean, take a look at it again. There was so much action, 19-9 in this entire game. But what I do want to kind of point out later is one of the items here where I found it was really, really interesting, right? But we're going to get back to the emblems first here, where for me, it's the Fredrin going for the concussive blast, right? Ever since the Fredrin got nerfed, some of the base damage, a lot of junglers have then utilized the concussive blast to get better clear across the jungle camps, to get that early lead, to kind of cover for the weakness that Fredrin has right now.
I'm with it. And again, if y'all are wondering how Luke does what Luke does, constantly putting pressure on Oheb and Yue, that's the build right there. The adaptive, the penetration and the early on spell vamp is key. Because if you do not build your Bloodlust Axe early, then you're going to start dying. And again, Luke kept it very close to the chest. Looking at the rest of the item builds, you're going to try to point something out here.
I'll point out at Marky right now, right? Because in game number 1, we actually did give him so much props for going for the offensive route. He didn't care about the win of nature because he was able to shut down his laner. And also, on the other side of the map, the other damage dealer that was dealing physical damage was also shut down. The fact that he did not go for win of nature, I have to say, this is a greedy, greedy move by him. Going for the Sea Halberd, you did see him position really well, but at one point, that full barrage, that range, it's bound to get to you.
Yep, and for the Hitman, again, if you want to build your Matilda the way that he did, that's it. You have that one magic item, the Enchanted Talisman, and then you build full support, full on support and defense. And this was something that bothered me earlier, all right? The moment that Oheb died during that almost final comeback from GEEK Fam, I saw, hey, why is he building a halfway? All right, he was on his way to an immortality. So again, he understands, Oheb understands that he is a linchpin. He is a very important part of their winning condition that he has to protect himself, compared to Marky, who's just okay to be a little greedy.
Aside from that, I really got to talk a little bit about that final Lord, or not the final Lord, but the Lord that switched everything on its head, right? The complete 180 from Blacklist International when they were able to find Nile. Beloyski was on the other side of the map and Nile dashed in. When that initially happened, I expected, oh, okay, they wanted to try to utilize a boy's nether realm to try to miscalculate, make Blacklist miscalculate. But then you see Beloyski on the other side, and then you really start to question, was it truly a big miscom from the entire team where they wanted to do some pushes, some more setups before they got to that Lord?
And that's wherein Blacklist now finds their window. In game 1, there was very little bit of a window. And again, it's that same gamble, that playing with the odds and just putting it all on the line that made GEEK Fam win game 1 so quickly. Now, this one took a while longer. This one went past the 20-minute mark. But here you'll see that they're investing in the right spots. They are trying to build towards a winning condition that is capable of winning regardless of what happens, even inside their own base, because it was so close. GEEK Fam was coming in. And with that, you have to ask, how did Blacklist do that? It's because they were trading very efficiently. They were giving out turtles, letting Edward die, allowing for Renegade to actually check in, buy time, and then move out. GEEK Fam weren't picking fights as free, as wanton as they were in game 1.
No, they really weren't, right? But it's almost like, Leo, it's kind of an identity for them at this point, right? We've coined in the term the solution for the entire tournament, even in MPL Indonesia. Now, they're not just looking for solutions, but they're looking for problems, because there can never be a solution when there's no problems. Marky, the rest of the team kept on looking for these crazy, crazy fights across the map. And I get it in game number 2, especially after the adrenaline rush that is game number 1. They dominated Blacklist in game number 1. But now it's about that wake up again. It's that back to reality phase, right? You got to get that reality check, and it comes in the form of a big slap in the face from the Hitman himself.
And just as our desk mentioned, there is a pendulum here, swinging back and forth, back and forth. In game one, it went all the way even out of that big old grandfather clock and went towards Geek Fam's way. Now, Blacklist able to slow it down. Blacklist able to play to their pace, trade out to the point of inevitability. Where does game 3 bring us? What kind of gameplay and tempo will Geek Fam bring, or will they even be the ones calling the shots? Because again, once Blacklist says it's Ube time, it's their time.
That timing is crucial for both these teams for those power picks, Leo. And honestly,